Forget the abstract theological debates for a minute. Put yourself in a simulation, a moment where the walls of theory close in and you are left with a single binary choice. Imagine standing at the center of antiquity, surrounded by an atmosphere of undeniable reverence. The air is thick, the ground feels sacred, and you are waiting for a directive from the highest possible source. Then the silence breaks with a rallying cry. Whoever is for the Lord, come to me. In this exact moment, answering that call is presented as the ultimate test of faith. Stepping forward is framed as the highest expression of human character and devotion. But answering that call means picking up what lies waiting for you on the ground, a heavy iron sword. The first directive is clear. You are ordered to walk through the camp and kill thousands of your own brothers, people you know, people who simply participated in worshiping a golden calf. The next command scales the violence up to an entire nation. You are told to wipe out Midian, destroying the population while taking tens of thousands of women and infants as captives. You are holding a book that teaches you to love your neighbor in one hand and a blade meant for your brother in the other. These acts of mass violence are demanded by the exact same texts used to define right and wrong. It leaves you with a question that has no easy exit. If the holiest book in existence requires you to stand in the blood of your own family, do you obey? Step out of the simulation and look at the physical reality of these words today. We read these specific passages generation after generation as part of a living heritage. This image shows a Torah scroll where words are printed black on white. They are permanent. No amount of modern interpretation can erase the stark, ancient command. Reading down the column, I know one thing with unshakable certainty. If that moment came, I would refuse. That refusal does not come from a place of weakness. It takes an exhausting, active effort to push back against a dogma that has been ingrained in a culture for millennia. Any reader who listens to their conscience finds themselves in a state of rebellion. You are forced to stand against the physical artifact of your own tradition. What actually stops a person from following that violent order is a psychological barrier. Your internal moral compass activates, acting like a physical shield against the blade. There is a boundary I simply cannot cross. I cannot shut off my compassion and humanity, no matter how much weight is behind the top-down command. This empathy functions as an independent force. It collides with the sacredness of the text and holds the line. It suggests a difficult conclusion. To preserve human life, the human mind must trust its own internal judgment over a written instruction. In this context, morality is not found in submission to authority, but in the painful, active resistance to it. Choosing to walk away from that command leaves you in a very quiet, deeply isolating space. You have stepped out of the ranks of the obedient. It brings up a lingering fear. If you look at the explicit written command and say no, are you still a believer? Or does your conscience make you an outcast? Look at this wooden pointer resting silently on the text. It represents a human pause, a moment where the reader stops and refuses to let the words move their hand. It is a crisis of identity. You are left with the label of a sinner, simply because you refuse to become a murderer in the name of your faith. But consider the source of that refusal. If we are taught that humans are made in a divine image, we have to ask, which part of us reflects that image? The part that picks up the sword, or the part that recoils from it? If the impulse to protect a life is stronger than the impulse to obey an order for slaughter, then that empathy is not a failure of faith. It is the most sacred thing we possess. The moment the sword strikes the stone, a new definition of righteousness takes shape. It's the victory of the human heart over the written word. Faith is no longer measured by what you are willing to destroy for God. It is measured by the human life you are willing to protect, even when the text tells you to take it. The divine spark in humanity reveals itself in a single, quiet act of courage, the ability to listen to that internal voice that says no to violence, even when that violence is disguised as a holy command.